Okay, so I've been playing Fortnite Reload a lot recently with one of my friends. This is what my stats are looking like right now. We're cribbing with that 48% win rate, 34 hours of reload. I've been playing a lot of it because the current absolute Doom meta is dog shit. It's less dog shit now because I just vaulted the jetpack, so I can actually bear to play the game by myself now, but God forbid, bro, that jetpack was fucking... Alright, anyways. Since I've been playing a lot of Reload recently, I wanted to make a tier list on all the current weapons. I had to double check something. At first, I didn't know what this was, because they chose, admittedly, kind of a weird image for it. This is the Mythic Skies Assault Rifle. I don't know why they made it its own thing, when it's literally no different from the regular assault rifles, other than it's Mythic. Okay, whatever. And they also didn't include the Prime and the Auto Shotgun. I had to double check to make sure this thing's still in the game. I think it is. But I haven't been seeing it lately in Reload. And also, I've not encountered this thing at all in Reload, but apparently it's been in since the beginning? The MK7 Assault Rifle? Haven't encountered anyone using it. Haven't used it myself, but I will still tier it based off of how busted I know the weapon is when it first dropped. So therefore, we're gonna do unrequited gods. There's gonna be a few weapons that go in here. Then we got cracked. My fault. Less cracked. Mid. Dog shit. And question mark. Not a lot of weapons are going to go in here, but there are some. So I'm going to try and condense this because the original video of this was 39 minutes. So I'm going to try and get my points across a little bit faster so you're not sitting here for 30, fuck. I was about to say 30 hours. 39 minutes is what I was trying to say. So starting off with the Assault Rifle and Sky's Mythic Assault Rifle, again, I don't know why they counted this as its own thing. It's literally no different, but... the Assault Rifle is pretty much useful in every scenario, does consistent damage, has a consistent fire rate. Really, there's nothing wrong with the weapon. It's just one of the most consistent and best weapons in Reload currently. The Bolt Action Sniper Rifle is one of the best weapons in Reload currently. It is the only way for you to be able to fully one-tap somebody, aside from the Hunting Rifle, but the Hunting Rifle doesn't have a scope on it, so it's just not as good. The Burst Assault Rifle, I've heard a lot of people say good things about this type of weapon, but burst-type weapons, in my opinion, are just not as good as their true auto-fire counterparts, like the Assault Rifle, in my opinion, and that is especially true in Reload, because if you try using this thing over the other weapons that you could use, like the Hammer Assault Rifle, or the regular Assault Rifle, or even something like the Combat Pistol, or, sadly, even a Pump, even though the Pump is shit, you're going to find yourself at disadvantage because of the weird burst firing style of this assault rifle, so it's just better not to use it, in my opinion, but it's not bad. It's not dog shit, like unusable dog shit, but it's just mediocre. Both of these weapons are pretty okay, but they're not mid. I do appreciate the Combat Pistol. The Combat Pistol, in my opinion, would probably go in cracked tier if it didn't have as much recoil as it does. And the same thing with the Combat SMG. The reason that both of these are in here are they are both very solid weapons. They do what they do really well. It's just that the amount of fucked recoil on these weapons makes it hard to get into using them. Or to even use them consistently. Because if you're trying to use the Combat Pistol at a longer range, say a little bit further than mid-range, which this thing is absolutely capable of doing, you're going to find yourself getting fucked over by the absurd recoil that's on this thing. If it was the Ranger pistol, oh my god, Ranger pistol would go up here. That thing is insane. Probably one of the best pistols they've ever dropped in the game, period. I don't really know why they dropped both of these in here when they're the same weapon. But the submachine gun and all of its subsequent counterparts are just mediocre. This is, if I'm remembering correctly, this is Gunner's Stinger SMG. I also gotta make sure while I'm playing the Calamity music over here that it's not playing any copyrighted ads, because if it does that, my entire video gets butt-fucked. We're not here for that. But, yeah, this is Gunner's Mythic SMG. I have gotten this thing a total of 2 or 3 times in all of my matches. I have played well over 200 matches at this point. Only gotten this thing like less than 5 times. It's crazy, but it's not that good. All these weapons are kind of just like subsequently mediocre. Now, again, the reason that I'm not putting the combat SMG in here is because if you get used to the recoil, it is significantly better than all the other SMGs. So fucking good. But the other ones are just mediocre. They can get their job done, and that's really just about it. This isn't even a question. The Heisted Breacher is one of the best weapons in Reload, and honestly, in my opinion, one of the best shotguns they dropped in Fortnite, period. So I'm going to explain all the Heisted weapons and their gimmicks. So the Heisted Breacher, its gimmick is, as it shoots, it gets faster and does more damage. It is an automatic shotgun. So when you take an automatic shotgun, all of which have been categorically, in one way or another, just really good or really broken in Fortnite, and then given a mechanic where it can not only do more damage but shoot faster, you get the not breacher, God forbid, this piece of shit. You get the Heisted Accelerant, rather. This thing is just mediocre. God, it is really weird to think that all the SMGs are just like really mid. That's kind of the unfortunate thing about Fortnite, is that SMGs can be good. It's just that shotguns are better. And they always will consistently be better. Or pistols. In my opinion, pistols almost always are better than SMGs. If we had the dual macro SMGs and Reload, oh my god, bro. That would probably honestly go either in Kratz or Unrequited God. The macros are so fucking good. I wish they would come to Reload. They're fun. I like them. I don't think they would be too overbearing either. And maybe I'm tweaking. But the gimmick of the Heisted Blink Mag SMG is when you reload the weapon, it gives you a little dash. Unfortunately, that's not a particularly... Oh, hello. One of my friends is playing Warframe. I don't know if that showed on screen, but if it did, then you guys saw that. But it's not particularly good. The problem here is when you're reloading, you're making yourself vulnerable, and when you're using the SMG, you're making yourself extra vulnerable to get hit in the head with a shotgun. And its damage output is really low, unfortunately, which is weird because it's a Heisted weapon, and the Heisted weapons, their whole gimmick is supposed to be like, these are weapons that are supposed to do like crazy damage and have these gimmicks attached to them. But no, this thing's damage is really ass, in my opinion, and you're leaving yourself vulnerable when you try to use the mechanic, so I would not recommend using this. I should try to go ahead and explain this thing. So it has two gimmicks. It has longer ranges than most shotguns, which is not good in this instance, because if I remember correctly, I think it is... Is it semi-auto? Is it semi-auto? Something about its firing style I remember. Heisted Breacher shotgun. I don't remember. It's either manual or semi-auto. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. If it was manual, it'd actually be good. That's the sad part. Semi-auto shotguns are terrible in Fortnite. You need them to be either manual or auto. If they're not that and they're semi-auto, they are always bad. It's just the way that the game works. A manual shotgun deals a fuck ton of damage and can get you immediately back into the action to deal more of that damage, and the auto allows you to turn your brain off completely and do the damage that a manual can if you have it in your hand. The problem with semi-auto is that you can't do either or of those things, so they're really shit. So, one, its firing style is bad. Two, it having more range doesn't fucking matter because it's a shotgun, so you're gonna want to use it for up close. And three, the other mechanic that it has is terrible because they nerfed it. It used to do a lot of damage to builds, and then they nerfed it so it doesn't do damage to builds. So it has no point in existing. This is perhaps one of the worst shotguns they've ever dropped in Fortnite because all of its gimmicks, any and all gimmicks this thing has, being a semi-auto, destroying builds, and the other thing I mentioned, having longer range. Did I mention the longer range? Basically, all three of the things that it's supposed to do, it sucks at. It has no purpose. On the other hand, this thing's kind of cracked. The Heisted Explosive Assault Rifle. Gotta make sure it's not playing an ad. Oh! Can I turn it up? The problem is, while I'm recording, I don't know how loud this is. But I don't really care. It's whatever. But it is what it is. Anyways, this thing is really good. The gimmick of it is that when you shoot, it lobs out an explosive that deals a little bit of AoE. So you can shoot this at someone's foot, and it'll do like 60 per hit, and it'll still hit. So very good. Whenever I get this thing, I have a lot of fun with it. It's in my opinion, one of the most entertaining weapons in Reload. And then looking at these other ones, we can kind of just start blitzing through these so I don't waste too much of your guys' time. The Hammer Assault Rifle, unfortunately, drops a little bit of damage, if I remember correctly, in mag size in comparison to the regular Assault Rifle, so it's just not as consistent. Still a good weapon, it's just not as good as these because the mag size in particular is the thing that really fucks it over. This thing's really weird. So instead of having bullets that spread, it has wooden stakes that it shoots out. And the wooden stake is just a projectile that shoots straight forward out. So imagine a game where you need consistency with your shotgun and the bullet spread for it to actually be a shotgun. Take that away, and then make it like this really weird semi-auto firing style weapon that can do anywhere from like 100 to like almost 200 damage. Its damage is... it's consistent, but weirdly consistent. And its firing style and firing, like, type is weird. Very odd. I don't know how to feel about this thing at all. The hunting rifle is okay. If you're trying to quick snipe somebody to get like 90 damage off for free, it's good for that, but if you're trying to use it for longer ranges, you're going to want to use the bolt action sniper rifle, and I feel in most situations the bolt action sniper rifle actually just invalidates this thing's existence, sadly. The infantry rifle and subsequently its brother, the sideways rifle, are both mediocre. So this thing is a rifle that you have to tap fire with. And it does a little bit more damage than the normal assault rifle. Assault rifles do about 30 per shot. This thing does about 42 per shot. But the weird tap fire mechanic really holds this thing back from being, like, good. It's hard to use in situations where, like, if someone's rushing you down, you're gonna need the more consistent fire rate of the assault rifle. This thing just isn't cutting it. This thing sort of fixes that problem because it literally does the same thing as the infantry rifle, but you can hold down the fire instead of tap firing. However, the mechanic of the sideways rifle is that as you shoot it, it heats up and then deals more damage as you're about to run out of shots. It's weird and doesn't really fix the problem of the infantry rifle. It's just like an alternate... it's an alternate. I was going to say an alternate solution, but it's not really a solution. It doesn't really solve anything. The rocket launcher, you would think, is not all that, but in situations where a team is grouped up together, you could easily fuck them over and do like 100 damage to both of them at the same time. You can easily just get rid of like both of their shieldings in one go. And even though it's slow moving, if you hit this thing like up close where they have less time to react to it, this thing gets its job done. It's not like an unrequited god because it's a rocket launcher. So once that shot is out, it takes a long time to reload and the projectile is slow moving. But I think it's still good regardless because of the utility that it gives for dealing with, you know, even just one person at a time. You just do a lot of damage all in one go. So if you ever wanted to use a combat pistol combined with, like, the hunting rifle that only gets one shot, here's your friend. This is your friend. This thing is insane on headshots, though. Golly, big dog. I'm talking, if you hit headshots with the mammoth pistol, you're doing, like, 180, 160. It's a pistol! It can do, like, sniper damage, like, well... it does more than a sniper rifle on a body shot. Obviously, a sniper rifle on a headshot does, like, 300, so it's not comparable, but it's still fucking good damage. You can do almost 200 a shot if you're landing headshots. This thing's awesome. What keeps it, like, held back is the fact that it only has one shot. The revolver is the lesser brother of the mammoth pistol. It is literally just a mammoth pistol with more shots in it, but you deal less damage. But the problem is, because you have more shots, in technical terms, you have to be more accurate in order to get longevity out of this thing. But it's worth it. It fucks when you hit your shots. So, yeah, I'm going to say that much. It fucks. But you have to actually be good. I've only gotten this thing like twice. It's not that good. I really don't have anything to say about it. From what I know about this thing, from when it first dropped, this thing is cracked. However, I have not encountered anyone using it in Reload, and I have not seen it myself and used it. So, this is just going off of word of mouth from how the MK7 was when I played with it, when it dropped in actual pubs. I think it was around like Fortnite Wilds, right? When they dropped this thing. But this thing was insane. So I'm assuming if you run into somebody using this, if it's still in the loot pool, I assume it is because I looked it up and it didn't say it ever got vaulted. You're probably getting melted. This thing is weird because this is the only weapon on the tier list. I put that in air quotations. It is a weapon, I guess, but it's the only thing that can really fit into every tier. If you don't like the throwing mechanic and you think it's dog shit because of that, you would be correct. If you think it's mediocre because of the throwing mechanic, but the fact it has the potential to one-tap somebody if you throw it at someone correctly, you would be correct. If you think it's less cracked but still a good weapon because of its potential to one-tap, you would be correct. If you think it's cracked because it can one-tap, you would be correct. And if you think it's one of the best weapons in Reload because of its one-tap potential, you would also be correct. It fits into every tier, but only based upon the skill of the person using it and how good you are at throwing it at people. So therefore, I don't know where to put it. Because it could be anywhere on this list. If you want my humble opinion, it would, in technical terms, go from anywhere from dog shit to less cracked, but you could make an argument for the top 2 tiers. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't know where to put it. This thing is weird. So it's unlike the hammer pump in regular play right now, where the hammer pump just does consistently dog shit damage. It's never really good. This thing will either do 40 on a headshot or actually function like a correct shotgun. I don't get it. I really don't. It has perhaps the most inconsistent damage output I've seen of any shotgun that I've used in Reload. Or any weapon, really. It is the most inconsistent damage output. Do you want to, like, do 30 on a headshot? Or do you want to fucking one-tap someone? It can do both. You just don't know when it will. It's like this thing pulls damage out of a hat, like RNG, and it tells you to go fuck yourself, or, oh, go unfuck yourself. I don't know. I don't really get this shotgun. It's weird. So the sideways minigun, it's mediocre. So the gimmick of the sideways minigun is it starts out having a lot of spread, and then as it's firing, it's like the sideways rifle. It will do more damage as it heats up, but it will also start concentrating the shots and get more accurate as time goes on. However, because of the inconsistency of the spread from the beginning to the end, and the fact that I think the SMGs really have just a more consistent damage output than this thing overall, I can't recommend you using this over, like, any of the other SMGs that they have currently, because that's what this thing really is. Even though it's a Gatling gun, it basically just functions as another SMG. And it doesn't do that job well, and it isn't good at range. Like, it's a Gatling gun, so you think, okay, maybe it's a little bit a little bit better at range. No, its range sucks. Its damage output sucks. But it's not bad. It's usable. It just kind of sucks. It's not unusable, so I'm not putting it in dog shit, but I'm just saying, if you have, like, a submachine gun, use that instead. This thing has always been shit. So it has a thing where if you use your alt fire, you can dash with it, and if you don't cancel the dash, it'll do this little animation where you'll start running forward, and then at the end of it, you'll stop, and then you'll jolt back a little bit, and then you'll be able to move again. I tried using this in one match and completely forgot about that little ending animation on the sideways scythe, and it got me completely, utterly touched by a team. So, if you try using it for the little dash that it has, it's bad mobility. It has a slam attack that's useful for jumping from high places so you don't take fall damage. However, it'll then do an animation where the scythe, when you slam it into the ground, you'll pick it back up, and you can't cancel the animation, by the way. So you have to just sit there and watch as somebody probably pulls up on you and just blitzes you in the head with the shotgun. So the slam is bad, and if you try using it as a weapon, like an actual melee weapon, you'll just get blitzed by a shotgun, so it's bad. So both of the mobility options that this thing has are bad, and the actual damaging output it has is bad because it just gets outdone by a shotgun. I won't lie, it's a fun weapon. I enjoy it. It's just bad, unfortunately. It's outclassed entirely by shockwaves and shotguns. Sorry. I will get to the tack later, because I want to show you something with the auto. This thing is ass, don't use it. This thing is ass, don't use it. This thing is in a better spot than the pump. This thing is literally just an alternate pump. The only reason that I put it in mid over dog shit is its damage is more consistent. I've never used this thing, and its damage has fallen below, at the very least, 60, which admittedly is still mediocre, but it's not unusable like the pump. So if you get a Thunder, you can definitely use it, because I don't really know what they did. I'm assuming it has something to do with the spread of the bullets, but it is overall more consistent than the pump. So let me go ahead and show you why I was holding out on the tack and the auto. This is going to blow your mind, but they are quite literally the same weapon. But one does something different that is so astronomically insane that I genuinely wonder why they put both of these things in at the same time. So, look at this. So, if we're going to look at a legendary, so DPS, 141. The DPS of an auto is 154. That's the overall DPS. The damage, just the raw damage, 94. The raw damage of an auto, 103. Okay, so what's happening here? And then you start looking at these other stats. Magazine size, 8. Oh, magazine size, 8. Oh, fire rate, 1.5. Wait, fire rate, 1.5? Oh, reload time, 5.13 seconds. Oh, wait, 5.13. You want to know what the major difference is? The auto literally does 10 more damage and does a little bit less to structures. In zero build, the structure damage doesn't matter. So guess what? The tactical and the auto are the same weapon, except the auto does 10 more damage overall more consistently than the tac. So there is literally no reason for both of these things to be in at the same time in the same loot pool, and they are the same exact weapon with the same exact stats. But one does 10 more damage. Why? Why did they do... The only reason I don't put the auto in unrequited... Actually, most of the time you're not going to have access to the Heisted Breacher, so yeah, no, this thing deserves to be up there. It's the second best shotgun in Reload, right next to the Heisted Breacher, and the only reason that this thing doesn't go down and cracked is because you are never going to find this fucking thing. I've got it on a few occasions, but throughout the multitude of matches that I've played, I've encountered this thing less than 10 times. So, yeah, you're going to get this thing a lot more consistently, and it invalidates the tac. So, I guess that's another big reason why it's in Unrequited Gods, is it just completely invalidates another shotgun that's in the loot pool currently. And honestly, if you really want to make the argument, it invalidates every other shotgun in the loot pool right now. Except, I guess, maybe the Thunder / higher tiers of the pump. Because the pump only starts getting usable once you find, like, a purple or legendary version, which is really bad, by the way. You should never say that a weapon only is usable if you have it as a legendary, but it's kind of true. I've used the pump. It is genuinely only usable if you have the higher tier ones. The lower tier ones, there's no point. Like, blue and below don't. You only use purple and legendary ones. But, yeah. I think that is my definitive tier list. I didn't really want to talk about these two, but the tactical submachine gun, the problem with this thing is that it traded the damage output that it has for, I think, fire rate. So if we take a look, because I could show you in real time right now why this thing is so bad. There's a very good reason for that. So if we go to the submachine gun, are these the currents? What the fuck? Spy Games variant stats? The fuck does that mean? Alright, we'll just go off of this, because I think this is accurate. I think this is the most accurate one. Alright. Let me see. Is it the fire rate? It was the fire rate, right? No! What was it? This thing did something. Oh, dear God! Okay, no, I'm looking at it. Their damage is the same. It's the mag size! It's the mag size. Mag size and fire rate. That's what it is. So, if you look here, they decided to trade off the mag size and the fire rate, even though these things do the exact same damage. So you can see a massive change in the DPS. The max DPS that you can see here is 189. And here, 273. Can you guess why this thing is shit? Although, guess what? They buffed the reload time! That is almost a 100 DPS difference! Dude, this thing is so bad. Fuck! They do the same damage! That's the funny part. They just decided to get a little kooky with the mag size and the fire rate, and it just fucked the entire thing. The main thing is the fire rate. But the mag size definitely also plays a part. That's why, for instance, the hammer assault rifle is worse than the regular assault rifles, is because it has a significantly smaller magazine size. But golly! Yeah, this thing sucks. I hate using it. Don't pick this thing up. If you can somehow pick up kills with this, then you're insane. This thing, okay, so the gimmick is it does more damage if you have a fully loaded mag, which is a really bad gimmick, by the way. But it's also semi-automatic, and semi-automatic shotguns are not good in Fortnite. So you combine an already bad weapon type with a really weird mechanic, forcing you to constantly reload your shotgun in the middle of a fight. Yeah, no, don't. It's bad. You're gonna get honestly, you would get blitzed by like a gray pump before you can honestly use like even higher tier versions of this thing. It's ass. All right, I just wanted to talk about this. How long has it been? Damn, I tried to condense. I mean, I did condense my thoughts because it's not 40 minutes, but yeah, those are my genuine thoughts about the current Fortnite Reload loot pool, except maybe this thing, because again, this thing's like a cryptid. It's the only thing on here I haven't encountered on this entire list, so I can't 100% with certainty tell you whether or not the MK7 is in the loot pool, but I'm gonna take the wiki's word because it's pretty accurate about everything else, so I don't know why they would lie about this, but who knows, maybe I'll get lucky enough one day to see this. Oh, also, I don't know if they vaulted it, but sometimes I get the bottomless chug jug. I just want to point, because it's not a weapon, but I just want to point it out, like, if they had it on here, I wouldn't be tweaking out about it like I would this, because I know how rare it is to get some shit. Or, like, the Jules glider gun, the infinite grappler, I've only used it twice, and I've seen it on, I think, 2 other occasions. So I know how rare some of this shit is. Like, this thing in of itself is fucking rare. It's, I think, the rarest item genuinely in a reload. Because it has like a 0.05 or like a 0.005 or like 0.001% chance of spawning. I've only gotten this thing, I think, twice as well. Insane. Some really rare shit that happens in a reload. But, yeah. That's why I wanted to talk about that stuff briefly, because I'm sure this thing is still in the game. It's just... if it's not, I'm ranking it anyways, just based off of my previous knowledge of it, so... we'll leave it there. I totally wasn't stalling until it reached 30 minutes or anything.